Welcome to the Cenario podcast, your guide to mental health and well-being. Each episode, we uncover practical tools, discuss expert insights, and explore how supplements can transform your mental health journey. Get ready to learn, grow, and thrive with us.
If you are one of the millions of people who have ever felt that just heavy, crushing weight of chronic stress, the perpetual low energy, the poor sleep, the zero tolerance for anything new,
Yeah.
you've probably searched for answers.
And you've probably stumbled upon the term adrenal fatigue.
Exactly.
And that is exactly where we need to start, because while those symptoms are incredibly real and debilitating,
They are.
the problem is almost certainly not that your adrenal glands have run out of gas or, failed.
So, if the symptoms feel like total burnout, but the factory itself isn't broken, what system is actually failing here?
The real issue, it lies in the dysregulation of the hypothalamic pituitary adrenal, or HPA axis.
The HPA axis?
Yeah. Think of it as the master control center in your brain and body. It's this sophisticated network that dictates when you feel motivated, how your metabolism runs.
Okay.
And most critically, it manages the rhythm of your primary stress hormone, cortisol. When this system falls out of sync, the resulting state feels precisely identical to utter exhaustion and burnout.
That makes so much sense. The system is confused, not depleted.
That's it.
So our mission today, for this deep dive, is to unpack this HPA axis confusion. We need to identify the measurable consequences of this burnout state.
And maybe most importantly, separate the evidence-based solutions, the clinically proven ingredients, from all the marketing fluff that targets people who are just desperate for energy.
Let's get into the mechanics then. The HPA axis sounds like a critical feedback loop. How does chronic stress break that connection?
Well, what's fascinating here is that the system is designed for quick, acute stress.
Like a real threat.
Exactly. The brain senses danger, it signals for cortisol to be released, and then that very cortisol is supposed to feed back to the brain and signal, threat neutralized, turn the stress response off.
But with chronic stress, that off switch never gets flipped.
It's constantly interrupted. A horrible boss, financial worries, poor sleep. That shut-off signal gets drowned out, and the system just spirals out of balance.
So it's a perpetually open circuit for stress.
Exactly. And that lack of regulation leads to 5 distinct consequences we can actually measure, which are the real drivers of your fatigue.
Okay, what are they?
First, you often see low morning cortisol. So instead of waking up with that natural surge of cortisol that gives you energy and mental sharpness, you wake up already drained.
That's that classic feeling of dragging yourself out of bed.
Precisely. Second, you see elevated evening cortisol. The level that should be winding down at night stays high, and that blocks you from entering deep, restorative sleep.
And I'm guessing that leads to the third one?
It does. You get constant noradrenaline activity. Noradrenaline is it's adrenaline's cousin. It creates that miserable feeling of being wired but completely exhausted.
Ugh, we all know that feeling. What about the physical energy hit?
That's number 4, slower mitochondrial ATP production. Your mitochondria, the little energy factories inside every cell, they become less efficient under chronic stress, which directly translates to physical fatigue. And 5th, you see heightened inflammation, which is a two-way street. It both contributes to HPA dysfunction and is worsened by it, driving poor mood and draining even more energy.
This raises a really important question right away. If both high evening cortisol and low morning cortisol cause fatigue and tension and low motivation, how can you possibly guess which supplements you need without testing?
You've hit on the core challenge. This massive overlap in symptoms is exactly why generic adrenal support so often fails.
I see.
The goal isn't just to support the adrenals. The goal is to target those 5 specific patterns, restoring predictable cortisol timing, calming noradrenaline, and boosting cellular energy.
Okay, let's focus on correcting those specific patterns then. If we need to restore that cortisol timing and reduce sympathetic activation, which ingredients show, statistically significant changes in human trials.
We have to start with ashwagandha.
The big one.
It's the undisputed heavy hitter for direct cortisol regulation. We have human trials showing reductions in circulating cortisol ranging from 14 to, in some cases, 30%.
30%? That's a massive shift.
It is. People consistently report a calmer stress response, improved sleep, and significantly better resilience.
But wait, does that mean someone taking ashwagandha needs to cycle it? I mean, could that reduction lead to too low cortisol if you take it long term?
That's an excellent critical point. but it's an adaptogen, which means it helps normalize the response. It primarily works by modulating that HPA feedback loop, so helping the brain sense the cortisol and turn off the stress signal.
So it's regulatory.
Exactly. It's not generally associated with causing abnormally low cortisol in healthy individuals. For dosage, you want to look for about 300 to 600 milligrams daily, specifically the standardized forms like KSM-66 or Cenario, to make sure you're getting clinical effectiveness.
Got it. Okay, next up, rhodiola rosea. This seems aimed more at the mental exhaustion side of the equation.
Rhodiola is perfect for the person who feels mentally exhausted, but still has that restless, overstimulated feeling.
The wired but tired.
That's the one. It directly targets stress-induced fatigue. Studies show it dramatically improves cognitive performance during high-stress tasks.
And how does it do that?
Its mechanisms are key. It enhances mitochondrial ATP output, that cellular energy we mentioned, and it also supports dopamine regulation, which essentially blunts the feeling of stress. Doses typically run 200 to 400 milligrams daily.
And finally, magnesium. It seems chronic stress just burns through our mineral stores and magnesium gets hit the hardest.
Wow.
Why is the glycinate form so strongly preferred here?
Because chronic stress flushes magnesium out, and that leads to increased neural excitability, which is just a fancy way of saying more anxiety and worse sleep.
Right.
Magnesium glycinate is preferred because the glycine part is calming in its own right, and it readily crosses the blood-brain barrier. It works by regulating NMDA receptors.
Which are like gatekeepers for nerve firing.
Perfect analogy. They manage how quickly your nerves fire. And it increases GABA activity, which is your main brake pedal neurotransmitter. This directly helps reduce evening cortisol and just stabilize the whole nervous system.
So if we connect this to the bigger picture, achieving true recovery is never just about cortisol, is it?
Not at all. We have to fix the nutritional gaps and the systemic inflammation that keep that stress loop spinning.
Let's tackle inflammation first.
Right.
We hear omega-3s are key, but why is EPA specifically called out as this invisible driver of low energy?
Well, inflammation is an energy sink.
Yeah.
And we want omega-3s specifically focusing on ETA because it's the powerhouse for dampening inflammatory signals.
How so?
When stress hits, the body releases inflammatory cytokines, things like IL-6 and TNF-alpha, which are basically signaling molecules that tell the body things are bad.
Okay.
High levels of these cytokines disrupt HPA signaling, messing up cortisol timing. EPA directly reduces these inflammatory signals, which helps stabilize the entire mood and energy circuit. We're looking for about 1 to 2 grams of EPA daily.
Now for vitamins. The B complex. What specific roles do these play under stress?
Under chronic stress, the demands for making mood and energy chemicals just soar. And B vitamins are the essential cofactors.
As the spark plugs.
That's a great way to think of it. Specifically, B6 is needed to regulate serotonin and dopamine. Folate and B12 are critical for methylation and sustainable energy. And B5 is directly involved in producing adrenal hormones. You just chew through these so fast when you're stressed.
So methylated B forms are better.
Yeah, using methylated forms just ensures the body can utilize them instantly for neurotransmitter and energy support.
And vitamin D, the sunshine vitamin, is so consistently linked to fatigue. Why is it crucial to the HPA pathway?
Vitamin D is really more like a hormone than a vitamin. Its receptors are found all through the HPA axis pathway.
We didn't know that.
Yeah, and deficiency consistently links to poor sleep and higher stress reactivity because it directly supports serotonin synthesis and mitochondrial energy function. It's absolutely foundational.
Before we move on to the cautions.
Yeah.
What about L-theanine? This one seems like the perfect option for that immediate, acute feeling of anxiety.
L-theanine is excellent. It's fast-acting and it's clean. If you feel overwhelmed or you need to bring down that stress-related brain chatter right now, it works within an hour.
And what's it doing in the brain?
It boosts GABA and glycine, which calms things down, and it promotes calming alpha wave patterns. Essentially, it's turning down glutamate excitability, which is the brain's main gas pedal.
Okay, here's where it gets really interesting for me. We've established that high and low cortisol can feel the same. So we need to talk about personalized adaptogens. Are they really interchangeable, or where does that nuance start to break down?
They are absolutely not interchangeable. This is critical. We have to match the adaptogen to the symptom profile.
Okay, give me an example.
Take ginseng. Ginseng is an activator. It improves mitochondrial ATP output and it boosts stamina. If you are sluggish, dragging, and need more mental horsepower, ginseng is fantastic. But, and this is a big caution, if you already feel anxious or wired, ginseng will absolutely make those symptoms worse. It increases overall alertness and stimulation.
So ginseng for the sluggish, What about holy basil? Where does that fit?
Holy basil is in a different category. It's excellent for mood stability and emotional reactivity. It lowers cortisol during stressful moments, but also supports that dopamine and serotonin balance.
So is that for?
That's for someone who feels primarily overwhelmed, emotionally frayed, and just needs a smoother stress response.
And now, the infamous warning. Licorice root. This is in so many adrenal support blends, but you caution strongly against it. Why?
Because it's basically a pharmaceutical intervention disguised as a supplement. Licorice root artificially increases cortisol by preventing its breakdown.
So it holds on to the stress hormone you already have.
Exactly, it makes it last longer. It is only beneficial if specific lab tests show pathologically low morning cortisol. Using it casually or long-term risks raising your blood pressure, causing fluid retention, and worsening the overall HPA dysregulation. Most people do not need it.
That is a critical distinction. What about common marketing pitfalls we should avoid?
Stick to the evidence. Don't waste money on things that just mask the problem or provide tiny, ineffective doses. Avoid stimulant blends, caffeine, synthetic enhancers that hide fatigue but lead to a worse crash later.
Right, and the sugary drinks.
Stay away from sugary adrenal drinks that spike your glucose and strain the system. And finally, avoid those multi-adaptogen blends that list 10 ingredients but only contain tiny amounts. You need clinical doses to see a real physiological change.
As we always say on the deep dive, supplements are optimization tools. They can't fix a fundamentally broken lifestyle.
Absolutely not.
So what behavioral inputs must the listener prioritize to support HPA correction?
There are 4 foundational pillars that no supplement can override. First and foremost is sleep timing.
Consistency.
Yes, a consistent 1-hour window for both bedtime and wake-up time is the single strongest influence on restoring that crucial morning cortisol rhythm. Irregular sleep destroys the HPA schedule faster than anything.
And resetting that rhythm starts first thing in the morning.
Yes, morning sunlight is non-negotiable. Getting light into your eyes soon after you wake up, it resets the circadian cycle for the entire day.
And if you skip that,
If you skip it, your brain doesn't get the signal to start the cycle correctly, and that often leads to chronic fatigue and poor hormone timing.
the third pillar then addresses that tired but wired feeling at night.
That's evening stimulation avoidance. Intense screen exposure, intense exercise late in the day, and any caffeine past midday actively block the natural decline in cortisol you need for sleep.
It keeps you in alert mode.
It keeps your noradrenaline pumping and your brain on high alert.
And finally, diet, specifically protein.
Correct. Protein intake is paramount. Stress requires immense synthesis of neurotransmitters, the chemicals that control your mood, focus, and energy, like dopamine and serotonin.
The building block.
If you don't have adequate protein, you literally don't have the building blocks needed to make those critical chemicals, and that will slow your recovery significantly.
Let's synthesize this into a practical approach. If someone wants to start a stack based on today's findings, where should they begin?
A minimal recovery stack targets the core issues: ashwagandha for cortisol, magnesium glycinate for calmness, and an EPA-focused omega-3 for inflammation.
And if the fatigue is deeper,
If chronic stress is dominant and they have deeper fatigue, they should consider adding rhodiola for cellular energy and vitamin D.
and for specific situations.
Use L-theanine for that fast-acting anxiety relief when you need it, and use a methylated B complex if fatigue and brain fog are really your most severe issues. This raises a really important question for everyone seeking relief, though. When are supplements simply not enough?
That's a big one.
We need to be clear that certain conditions will overpower any supplement protocol and require direct medical intervention. Things like severe sleep deprivation, chronic undereating, an underlying thyroid dysfunction, alcohol misuse, or a clinical mood disorder.
Supplements are just supportive in those cases.
Exactly. They can help, but they cannot correct those underlying health problems alone.
That transparency is crucial for the listener.
It is. Now, here's a final provocative thought for you. You now understand that your symptoms, fatigue, anxiety, low mood, are often caused by the HPA axis being out of time, not out of resources. Full regulation of that rhythm takes time.
Absolutely. While people often notice early shifts in calmness and sleep within, say, 7 to 14 days of adopting these strategies, you have to remember that full, deep regulation of the cortisol rhythm requires a consistent commitment.
We're talking 6 to 12 weeks, depending on your baseline stress load and how consistent you are.
So use the evidence we've shared today, be patient, and thank you for diving into the truth about the HPA axis with us.
Thanks for tuning in to the Cenario podcast. Don't forget to visit Cenario.com for more expert tips, articles, and supplements designed to support your mental health. If you enjoyed this episode, remember to subscribe and share it with a friend. Until next time, take care of yourself.